I was 9 years old when my mother walked away from me at Denver International Airport and never looked back. She handed me a backpack, kissed my forehead quickly, and told me to wait while she boarded a flight to the Bahamas with her new husband Derek and his 2 kids. I waited for 3 hours before I understood the truth. She was not coming back. She had left me there on purpose, abandoning me like trash she no longer wanted. Standing in that massive terminal, I felt smaller than I ever had in my life. Families rushed past me, pulling suitcases, holding hands, laughing together. I clutched my backpack against my chest and watched the departure board above me. Flight after flight departed. None of them brought my mother back. I had $11 in my pocket. My mother had given me that money 2 days earlier for helping her pack. In the backpack, I found a juice box, a granola bar, and 3 more granola bars wrapped in foil. That was it. No note, no phone number, nothing. After 3 hours of standing in the same spot, my legs aching and my heart pounding, panic set in. I needed to call someone. I needed help. I spotted a payphone near the restrooms and ran to it. My hands shook as I pulled quarters from my pocket, the ones I had been saving for arcade games. I dialed my mother's cell phone number, the one I had memorized for emergencies. The phone rang 5 times. Each ring felt like an eternity. Then she answered. I could hear ocean waves in the background. Laughter. Music playing. She sounded relaxed. Happy. Mom? My voice cracked. Tears were already streaming down my face. Mom, when are you coming back? I have been waiting and I do not know what to do. There was a long pause. Then her voice came through. Cold and flat, in a way I had never heard before. You can figure it out. I am not ruining my perfect family trip for your worthless drama. I could not breathe. The words did not make sense. But Mom, I am only 9. I do not have anywhere to go. Please come back. Reed, stop being so needy. I left you bus fare in the backpack. There is a Greyhound station downtown. Find your own way home. But I looked. There is no money in here. Just food. She laughed. It was a cruel sound. Then I guess you will have to figure something else out, won't you? Then a man's voice came on the line. Derek, listen, kid. Some brats just need to learn real independence the hard way. Your mother deserves happiness without being dragged down by a clingy child who cannot handle a few hours alone. In the background, I heard his children, Brittany and Trevor, laughing. Brittany's voice rang out clearly. Finally, a real vacation without the unwanted baggage. Trevor added, maybe he will learn to grow up now. My mother came back on the line. Stop being so pathetic and needy, Reed. Find your own way home. I have given you everything you need. If you cannot handle this, that is your problem, not mine. The line went dead. I stood there with the phone against my ear, listening to the dial tone, unable to process what had just happened. My own mother had abandoned me, on purpose, and she was not sorry. She was angry at me for calling her. I hung up the phone and slid down the wall beneath it, pulling my knees to my chest. I wanted to scream. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to wake up and discover this was all a nightmare. An airport security guard walked past, then stopped and turned back. He was a tall man with a thick mustache and a concerned expression. You okay there, son? You lost? Terror shot through me. My mother had always told me horror stories about Child Protective Services. She said they put kids in terrible homes with mean people who hurt them. She said if I ever talked to social workers, I would never see her again, and I would be trapped forever. I wiped my tears quickly and forced a smile. No, sir. My aunt is picking me up soon. She is just running late because of traffic. The guard studied me for a long moment. He did not look convinced. Where is your aunt coming from? Boulder. She lives in Boulder. You sure you are okay? You look pretty upset. I am fine. Just tired. It was a long flight. He hesitated, then nodded slowly. All right. But I will be keeping an eye out. If your aunt does not show up soon, you come find me, okay? Yes, sir. He walked away, but I saw him glance back at me twice. My hands were still shaking. I could not stay here much longer. Someone would notice. Someone would call the authorities. I would end up in the system. Then I remembered something. A name I had not thought about in years. My father, Jonathan Reed Callahan. I had not seen him since I was 4 years old. My mother always said he had abandoned us, that he wanted nothing to do with me, that he was a bad man who hurt people. But right now, my mother had just abandoned me. If she could lie about loving me, maybe she had lied about him too. I tried to remember anything I could about my father. I remembered his smile. I remembered him lifting me onto his shoulders. I remembered his voice reading me bedtime stories. I remembered him calling me buddy and champion. And I remembered vaguely that he lived somewhere in California. Something about computers, technology. My mother had mentioned it once in an argument with her friend, saying he probably made too much money to care about his own son. That was all I had. But it was more than I had right now. I needed a computer. I walked through the terminal until I found the information desk. A woman sat there with graying hair pulled back in a bun and kind eyes behind reading glasses. Her name tag read, Susan. "Excuse me, ma'am?" My voice was small. She looked up and smiled warmly. "Hi there, sweetheart. What can I do for you? I lost my phone and I need to look up my uncle's number. Is there a computer I could use? Just for a few minutes?" Susan's expression shifted to concern. "Where are your parents, honey?" "My mom is in the restroom. She said I could come ask while she is in there." Another lie. I was getting good at lying. I hated it. Susan studied me for a moment, then glanced around. "All right. I am not supposed to do this, but you look like you are in a bind. Come around here. You can use this terminal for 10 minutes, but that is it. I could get in trouble." "Thank you so much." I sat at her computer and opened the browser. My fingers flew across the keyboard. I typed, "Jonathan Reed Callahan, California Technology." Multiple results appeared. I scrolled quickly. Most were too technical, company reports, things I did not understand. Then one result caught my eye. A website for a company called Callahan Tech Solutions. The page showed a photo of a man in a suit standing in front of a modern office building in Silicon Valley. The caption read, "CEO Jonathan Callahan." It was him. Older. But it was definitely him. I would recognize that smile anywhere. The website had a contact page. I clicked it. There was a form for general inquiries. My hands shook as I typed, "This is your son, Reed. I am 9 years old. Mom left me at Denver Airport. I need help. Please." I looked at the wall behind Susan. There was a customer service number posted on a sign. I added it to the message. "You can reach me at this number. Please hurry. I do not know what to do." I hit send. Susan tapped my shoulder. "Time is up, sweetie. Did you find what you needed?" "Yes, ma'am. Thank you." I went back to the bench where I had been sitting. My backpack felt heavier now. I pulled out one of the granola bars and ate it slowly, making it last. I did not know when I would eat again. 2 hours passed. I watched people. I watched planes through the windows. I watched the sun begin to set outside, painting the sky orange and pink. I wondered if my father had seen the message. I wondered if he would even care. Then the PA system crackled to life. "Reed Callahan, please come to the information desk." Reed Callahan to the information desk. My heart nearly stopped. I jumped up and ran, my backpack bouncing against my back. Susan was holding the phone, her expression a mixture of relief and confusion. She handed it to me. "Is this really your father?" I nodded and grabbed the phone. "Reed? Is this really you?" The voice on the other end was thick with emotion, barely holding together. "Dad?" The word felt strange. I had not said it in so long. "Oh my God. Reed, where are you? Tell me everything. What happened?" The words poured out of me. I told him about the airport, about the phone call, about Mom leaving me behind. I told him I had nowhere to go, and I was scared. He was silent for a long moment after I finished. When he spoke again, his voice was shaking. "I have been looking for you for 5 years. Your mother told me you did not want to see me. She got a restraining order claiming I was dangerous. She told the court I threatened both of you. I hired investigators. I searched everywhere. She kept moving, changing your schools. I never stopped looking, Reed. Not once. I swear to you, I never abandoned you." My world tilted. Everything I had believed was a lie. I am in San Francisco right now, he continued. I am getting on my plane. I will be there in 2.5 hours. Do not move. Do not talk to anyone else. Tell the woman who answered the phone that I am coming. I am coming for you, buddy. I promise. Okay. It was all I could manage. Susan took the phone back. I heard her speaking to my father, asking questions, verifying information. Her expression softened as she listened. Finally, she hung up. Your father is on his way. He sounds very worried about you. He says he has been trying to find you for a long time. My mom lied to me. She told me he left us. Susan's face tightened with anger. Some people do terrible things, but you are safe now. I will stay with you until he gets here. But then 2 security officers walked up to the desk. They looked serious. One of them, a stocky man with a crew cut, addressed Susan. We got a report about an unaccompanied minor. Is this the child? Susan hesitated. His father is on the way. He will be here in a couple of hours. The other officer, a woman with sharp eyes, looked at me. Where is your mother, son? I froze. She is supposed to pick him up, Susan said quickly. There was a miscommunication with flights. The male officer shook his head. We need to call Child Protective Services. This child has been here for over 5 hours with no guardian. That is protocol. Please, I said, my voice rising. My dad is coming. Please, do not call them. The female officer softened slightly. We have to, sweetheart. It is the law. But we will wait here with you until your father arrives. We just need to make sure you are safe. Can we please just wait? Susan pleaded. His father is on a plane right now. The officers exchanged glances. The man sighed. Fine. We will wait. But the kid needs to come with us to the security office. We need to file a report and get statements. My heart sank. I looked at Susan, who gave me an encouraging nod. It will be okay, she said. I will tell your father where you are. The officers escorted me through the terminal to a small security office near the baggage claim. They sat me down in a chair and began asking questions. Where did I live? What was my mother's name? Where was she supposed to be? Why was I alone? I tried to answer honestly without getting my father in trouble. I said my mother was supposed to pick me up, but her flight was delayed. I said I did not know exactly when she would arrive. I said my father was coming because my mother asked him to help. They did not believe me. I could see it in their eyes. They kept asking the same questions in different ways, trying to catch me in a lie. The female officer stepped outside to make phone calls. I heard her mention Child Protective Services. My stomach twisted into knots. Time crawled. Every minute felt like an hour. I kept praying my father would arrive before CPS showed up. I kept checking the clock on the wall. 2 hours. 2.5 hours. Where was he? At exactly 2 hours and 43 minutes after the phone call, there was a commotion outside the security office. Raised voices. Fast footsteps. Then the door burst open. My father stood there, looking exactly like the photo on the website, but more real, more solid. He wore an expensive dark suit, and his hair was slightly messy, like he had been running his hands through it. Behind him stood 2 people in business attire, carrying briefcases. Reed. He crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled me into his arms. I buried my face in his jacket and started crying, really crying. All the fear and pain and loneliness poured out. He held me tight, one hand on the back of my head, and I felt him shaking too. I am here, he whispered. I am here. You are safe. I am not leaving you. The male security officer cleared his throat. Sir, we need to see identification. My father pulled back, keeping one hand on my shoulder, and reached into his jacket. He handed over his driver's license and passport. One of the lawyers, a woman with sharp features and perfectly styled black hair, stepped forward. I am Catherine Brennan, Mr. Callahan's attorney. We have documentation showing Mr. Callahan is Reed's biological father. She placed papers on the desk. The officers examined everything. Birth certificate, court documents showing paternity, bank statements proving child support payments that had never been cashed, letters from investigators detailing the search for me. The female officer frowned. There is something you should see. She turned her computer monitor. On the screen was a legal document, a restraining order. Catherine leaned in, reading quickly. Her expression darkened. This was filed in Colorado 6 years ago. We had no record of this in California. The restraining order stated that Jonathan Callahan was prohibited from coming within 500 feet of me or my mother. It claimed he had made violent threats. It painted him as dangerous and unstable. "This is completely fabricated," Catherine said sharply. "Mr. Callahan has never been arrested. He has no history of violence. He has security clearances from the Department of Defense for his company's government contracts. This order is fraudulent." The male officer shook his head. "Fraudulent or not, it exists. And according to this, Mr. Callahan cannot take this child." "You cannot be serious," my father said, his voice breaking. "I just got my son back. You cannot do this." "We do not have a choice," the female officer said. "We have to call Child Protective Services. This is a legal issue that needs to go before a judge." Within 30 minutes, a woman named Patricia arrived. She wore a pantsuit and carried a thick folder. She had tired eyes but a kind smile. She introduced herself as a CPS caseworker. She sat down with me privately in another room and asked me to tell her everything. I did. I told her the truth about my mother, about the abandonment, about the phone call. I told her my father had been searching for me. I told her I wanted to stay with him. Patricia listened carefully, taking notes. When I finished, she sighed. "Reed, I believe you, but I have to follow the law. There is a restraining order. Until a judge reviews this and determines whether it is valid, I cannot release you to your father. But that is not fair." "I know, honey. Life is not always fair. But I promise we will get this sorted out. In the meantime, you will stay with a foster family. Just temporarily." "No, please. I just found my dad." Back in the main office, my father and his lawyers were arguing with Patricia. Catherine was on her phone, filing emergency motions. The other lawyer, a younger man named David, was pulling up records on his laptop, showing that the restraining order was based on completely false police reports that had never actually been filed. But Patricia could not budge. The law was the law. "I am filing for an emergency custody hearing," Catherine said. "We can get in front of a judge within 72 hours. "That is 3 days," my father said desperately. 3 more days he has to be away from me." "I am sorry," Patricia said, "but it is the fastest I can move this through the system." I clung to my father. He held me, whispering promises that he would fix this, that he would get me back, that this was not over. But then Patricia gently pulled me away. "Reed, we need to go now." My father knelt down in front of me. His eyes were red. "Listen to me, buddy. This is temporary. I swear to you, I will have you home in days. Catherine and David are the best lawyers in California. They will not stop fighting. Do you understand?" I nodded, unable to speak. "I love you. I have always loved you. I will call you every single day. I will see you in court in 3 days. And then we are going home together." Patricia led me out to her car. Through the window, I watched my father standing in the parking lot with his lawyers gathered around him, already making phone calls. He raised his hand in a wave. I pressed my hand against the glass. Patricia drove me to a house in a suburb called Lakewood. The foster family, the Andersons, were a couple in their 50s. They seemed nice enough. They showed me to a small bedroom with a twin bed and told me I could stay as long as necessary. 2 other foster kids lived there, both teenagers who barely looked at me. That night, lying in a strange bed in a strange house, I cried myself to sleep. I had gone from abandoned to rescued to torn away again, all in one day. The next morning, Patricia called to check on me. She told me something that made my blood run cold. "Your mother called last night from the Bahamas. She says she had a family emergency and left you at the airport by accident. She says she is on her way back to get you. She also says your father is dangerous and unstable, and that you should not be released to him under any circumstances." My mother was coming back, and she was still lying. 3 days in foster care felt like 3 years. I went to a temporary school where I knew no one. I sat alone at lunch. I did my homework in silence in the Andersons' living room, while the TV played shows I did not care about. But every evening, My father called. He told me about the case, about the evidence his lawyers were gathering, about how confident they were. He told me about my room he had prepared for me at his house. He described the neighborhood, the school I would attend, the soccer league nearby. He painted a picture of the life waiting for me. On the third day, Patricia picked me up early in the morning. She drove me to the courthouse downtown. My stomach was in knots. Inside, the courthouse was busy and intimidating. Patricia led me to a family court waiting area. My father was already there with Catherine and David. He hugged me immediately. "How are you holding up, buddy?" "I am okay. I just want this to be over. It will be soon." Then the door opened, and my mother walked in. She looked nothing like the woman who had left me at the airport. She wore a conservative navy dress and minimal makeup. Her hair was pulled back neatly. She looked tired and worried, like a mother who had been through something terrible. She saw me and her face crumpled. "Reed, oh baby." She rushed toward me, but my father stepped between us. "Do not touch him," he said quietly. Her lawyer, a man in an expensive gray suit named Gary, put a hand on her shoulder. "Let's not make a scene." My mother started crying. Loud, dramatic sobs. "I just want my baby back. I made a mistake. I am so sorry." I felt nothing. I just stared at her. A bailiff called us into the courtroom. Judge Carolyn Porter sat behind the bench, an older woman with silver hair and intelligent eyes. She looked stern. "This is an emergency custody hearing," she began. "We are here to determine the temporary custody arrangement for Reed Callahan while we sort through some concerning allegations. Let's begin." Gary stood up. "Your Honor, my client, Diane Callahan, is a devoted single mother who made a terrible mistake due to severe anxiety and panic. She deeply regrets leaving Reed at the airport and has been beside herself with worry." My mother took the stand. She was still crying. "I have an anxiety disorder," she said, her voice shaking. "That day at the airport, I had a panic attack. I felt overwhelmed. I made a terrible decision. I thought Reed would be fine, that the airport staff would help him until I could call someone. But then my flight took off and I could not get back. I called the airport immediately when I landed. I tried everything." She looked directly at the judge. "I love my son more than anything. I have raised him alone since his father abandoned us when Reed was 4. It has been so hard. I work 2 jobs. I do everything for him. One mistake does not make me a bad mother." Gary presented witnesses. 2 people I had never seen before. A man named Paul and a woman named Iris. They claimed to be neighbors. Paul said, "I have seen Jonathan Callahan at Diane's house multiple times over the years. He would show up late at night, banging on the door, shouting threats. It was terrifying." Iris added, "He has anger issues. I saw him punch a hole in Diane's car once. She was afraid of him." None of this was true. I had never seen my father at our house, but they sounded convincing. Catherine stood up. "Your Honor, these witnesses are lying. We have evidence that contradicts every claim." She presented phone records, showing my mother never called the airport. She showed social media posts from the Bahamas, where my mother was smiling and laughing, posted hours after she abandoned me. She showed proof that the restraining order was based on fabricated police reports. David added, "Mr. Callahan has been searching for his son for 5 years. He hired private investigators. He has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to find Reed. The restraining order was specifically designed to keep him away so he could not locate his son. This was premeditated child abduction." My father took the stand. He spoke calmly, clearly, explaining everything. He showed the judge letters he had written to me over the years, all returned unopened. He showed bank statements, proving he had tried to send child support every month, all rejected. He showed documentation from his company proving his character, his background checks, his clearances. Then it was my turn. Judge Porter asked me to approach. She spoke gently. "Reed, I need you to tell me the truth about what happened. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma'am." "Tell me about the day at the airport." I told her everything. The waiting, the phone call, the exact words my mother had said, the cruelty, the abandonment. My mother's lawyer objected. "Your Honor, the child is clearly traumatized and has been coached by his father. I have not been coached, I said, my voice rising. She left me there. She said I was worthless. She said I was pathetic. Judge Porter raised her hand. That is enough. Everyone settled down. She asked me more questions. About my life with my mother. About what I remembered of my father. About what I wanted. I told her I wanted to live with my dad. The hearing went on for hours. Both sides presented evidence. Both sides argued. Finally, Judge Porter called a recess. I need time to review all of this evidence. There are serious allegations on both sides. I am ordering custody evaluations for both parents. Dr. Franklin Hayes will conduct the evaluations over the next 2 weeks. Reed will remain in foster care until I have the results. We will reconvene in 14 days. My heart sank. 2 more weeks. As we left the courtroom, my mother approached me in the hallway. My father immediately stepped in front of me again. She looked at him, and for just a second, I saw her real face. The mask slipped. Her eyes went cold and hard. "You will never get him," she hissed, barely loud enough for him to hear. "I will destroy you first." Then she turned and walked away with Gary. That afternoon, my mother went directly to the police station. She filed a criminal complaint against my father for attempted kidnapping. She claimed he had coerced me into contacting him. She said he orchestrated the entire airport situation to steal me away from her. She said he was dangerous and violent. The next day, my father was arrested at his hotel. Patricia told me about it that evening. I broke down completely. My mother had weaponized the entire system. She was using the law as a weapon, and it was working. My father spent 6 hours in police custody before Catherine and David arranged bail. He was now facing criminal charges. If convicted, he could go to prison. And if he went to prison, I would be sent back to my mother. The custody evaluation process began immediately. Dr. Franklin Hayes was a psychologist in his 60s, with a calm demeanor and kind eyes. He interviewed me 3 times over 2 weeks at his office. He asked me about my childhood, my relationship with my mother, my memories of my father. He asked about school, friends, hobbies. He asked how I felt about everything that had happened. I told him the truth, all of it. I told him about years of my mother criticizing me, calling me weak, telling me I was a burden. I told him about the times she locked me in my room as punishment for minor things. I told him about how she changed after she met Derek, how she started treating me like I was invisible. Dr. Hayes listened carefully, taking notes, never judging. He was professional and neutral. I could not tell what he thought. He also evaluated my mother and my father separately. I do not know what happened in those sessions. While we waited for the results, my father's legal team worked around the clock. Catherine and David filed motions to dismiss the criminal charges. They presented evidence that my mother's allegations were false. But my mother's lawyer filed his own motions, demanding the custody evaluation be thrown out, claiming Dr. Hayes was biased toward wealthy clients. Then my father's private investigators made a breakthrough. David called me at the Andersons' house. "Reed, we found something. Something big." "What is it?" "Your mother was married before your father. Did you know that?" "No. She had a daughter. Her name is Ashley. She is 16 now." My world tilted. "I had a sister? What happened to her?" "Your mother lost custody when Ashley was 7. There was a court case. Diane was found to have neglected Ashley repeatedly. The father, a man named Scott, was granted full custody. Ashley has not seen your mother in 9 years." I could barely breathe. "She did this before?" "Yes. And we found Scott and Ashley. They have agreed to testify." 2 days later, Ashley's deposition was filed with the court. I was allowed to read it with my father present. Ashley described a childhood eerily similar to mine. A mother who was loving when people were watching but cruel and cold in private. Abandonment, neglect, emotional abuse. Eventually, Scott had fought for custody and won. Ashley wrote, "My mother is incapable of real love. She sees children as accessories or burdens, never as people. When I was 7, she left me at a shopping mall for 6 hours because I embarrassed her in front of her boyfriend. I hope Reed gets away from her like I did." The evidence was explosive. Catherine filed it immediately. along with all the court records from that custody case. But my mother responded by going to the media. 3 days later, local news stations ran stories. Mother fights to reclaim son from wealthy ex who allegedly kidnapped him. My mother gave tearful interviews. She claimed my father had used his money and power to manipulate the system. She said the investigators were harassing her. She said the records about Ashley were falsified, part of a conspiracy to steal me. She played the victim perfectly. Watching her on TV in the Andersons' living room, I felt sick. People believed her. The comments online were filled with support for her. They called my father a monster. Then something unexpected happened. Derek contacted my father's lawyers. David called me again. "Reed, Derek wants to talk. He wants to make a statement against your mother." "Really?" "Apparently, he left her in the Bahamas. He found out things about her that made him realize she had been lying to him too." Derek's deposition was filed 3 days later. It changed everything. Derek explained that he had genuinely believed my mother was bringing me on the vacation. When he discovered what she had done at the airport, he was horrified. He confronted her. She laughed it off, said I was old enough to figure things out, that I was too needy and clingy. That made Derek start questioning other things. He investigated and found that my mother had been stealing money from his bank accounts. Over the course of their relationship, she had taken over $80,000. He also discovered something else. Trevor and Brittany were not actually her children from a previous marriage, as she had claimed. She had been their nanny years ago. Their real mother, Helen, had temporary custody issues during a difficult divorce. My mother had convinced Derek that Helen was dangerous and had her rights terminated, but this was a complete lie. Helen had been searching for her children for 3 years. Derek left my mother immediately. He returned to the United States and went to the authorities. He brought evidence. Recordings of my mother admitting she left me on purpose. Text messages showing she had planned it for weeks. Financial records proving fraud. He also brought Trevor and Brittany. In supervised interviews, they admitted my mother had coached them on what to say when I called crying from the airport. They admitted she was not their mother. They said they were scared of her. Catherine presented all of this to Judge Porter in an emergency hearing. She moved to have the criminal charges dropped immediately. She demanded my mother be investigated for fraud, child endangerment, and custodial interference. Judge Porter read through the evidence, her expression growing darker with each page. Finally, she looked up. "This is one of the most disturbing cases I have encountered. I am ordering an immediate halt to the second custody evaluation. It is clear who the victim is here. I am issuing a bench warrant for Diane Callahan's arrest. She has 48 hours to appear before this court." My mother did not appear. Her lawyer claimed she was too emotionally distraught. Judge Porter issued a warrant for her arrest. My mother went into hiding. With my mother on the run and a warrant out for her arrest, Judge Porter granted temporary emergency custody to my father. On a Wednesday morning, 6 weeks after being abandoned at the airport, I was released from foster care. Patricia drove me to the airport, where my father waited with a plane ticket. We flew back to California together on his private jet. I sat in a leather seat, looking out the window at the clouds, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. My father's home was in Palo Alto, a beautiful neighborhood with tree-lined streets. The house was modern, all glass and clean lines, with a large backyard and a pool. Inside, everything was bright and open. He led me upstairs to a bedroom that took my breath away. The walls were painted a soft blue. There was a large bed with a thick comforter, a desk with a new computer, shelves filled with books and games. Sports posters hung on the walls, a closet full of new clothes. "I have been keeping this ready for you," my father said softly. "For 5 years. I always believed I would find you." I burst into tears. He held me while I cried. The next 2 weeks felt like a dream. I started at a new school, Franklin Elementary. The kids were nice. The teachers were patient. For the first time in my life, I felt normal. My father took me to his office and introduced me to his colleagues. Everyone was kind. They welcomed me like I had always been part of the family. We had dinner together every night. We talked about everything. He told me stories about his own childhood, about building his company, about the years he spent searching for me. I told him about school, about things I liked, about dreams I had. I started therapy with a wonderful counselor named Dr. Patel. She helped me process everything. She said I was strong. She said what happened was not my fault. Life was good, better than I ever imagined it could be. But my father's lawyers warned us it was not over. My mother was still out there. The investigation into her was expanding. Authorities had discovered multiple fraudulent schemes. She had scammed Derek out of $80,000. She had falsified documents regarding Helen's children. Warrants were issued for fraud, child endangerment, and custodial interference. But she remained missing. Weeks passed with no sign of her. Then, on a Tuesday evening while I was doing homework in my room, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is your mother. I need to see you. Meet me at Starbucks on University Avenue at 7 p.m. tonight. Come alone. Do not tell your father. If you do, you will never see me again and I will disappear forever. Please. I love you." My hands shook as I read it. Part of me wanted to see her. Part of me needed answers. Part of me still, despite everything, wanted to believe she actually loved me. But I remembered everything she had done. The lies, the cruelty, the manipulation. I walked downstairs to the living room where my father was reading on the couch. I handed him my phone. His expression darkened as he read the message. He immediately called Catherine. She conference called the police. They devised a plan. I would go to the meeting, but plainclothes police officers would be positioned throughout the coffee shop. My father would wait in a car nearby with more officers. The goal was to get my mother to talk, to confirm her location, and to arrest her safely. At 6:55, my father dropped me off a block from the Starbucks. "You will be safe," he said. "We will be watching every second. If anything feels wrong, you walk out immediately." I nodded, my heart pounding. The Starbucks was busy with evening customers. I spotted my mother immediately. She sat in a corner booth, wearing jeans and a hoodie, her hair hidden under a baseball cap. She looked thin and tired, her face drawn. I walked over and sat across from her. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. "Read, baby. Thank you for coming. What do you want?" "I want to explain. I want you to understand. I have been sick, Reed. I have problems. Anxiety, depression. I made terrible choices, but I am getting help now. I am going to be better. You left me at an airport. I know. It was the worst thing I have ever done, but I was overwhelmed. Derek was pressuring me. His kids were so demanding. I felt trapped. I panicked. You called me pathetic. You said I was worthless." Her eyes flickered. "I did not mean it. I was angry and scared. I say things I do not mean when I am upset. You know that. You lied about Dad. You kept me from him for years. Your father is dangerous, Reed. I was protecting you. He is not dangerous. You made it all up. You filed false police reports. That is what his lawyers told you. They are manipulating you. He has money and power, and he is using it to turn you against me." I stared at her. Every word was a lie. She believed her own lies now. "I want you to come back to me," she said, her voice taking on a desperate edge. "We can disappear together. Start over somewhere new. Just the two of us. It will be like it used to be. It was never good." Her expression changed. The mask cracked. Anger flashed in her eyes. "You, ungrateful little brat. I gave you everything. I sacrificed everything for you. And this is how you repay me? By choosing him? You did not sacrifice anything. You barely noticed me. I kept a roof over your head. I fed you. I raised you alone. You emotionally abused me. You made me feel worthless. You abandoned me." She stood up abruptly, her voice rising. "You were supposed to take the bus home like I told you. You were supposed to be independent. Instead, you ran to him like a pathetic baby." People in the coffee shop were staring now. A man approached our table. He was large, muscular, with cold eyes and a shaved head. My mother gestured to him. "Reed, this is my friend Marcus." Marcus did not smile. "Time to go, kid." Fear shot through me. "I am not going anywhere." My mother grabbed my wrist tightly. We are leaving. You are coming with us. And if you make a scene, Marcus will make sure your father has an accident. Do you understand? Before I could respond, police officers appeared from everywhere. They surrounded the table, guns drawn, shouting commands. Hands up. Do not move. My mother screamed, her grip tightening on my wrist. He is my son. You have no right. An officer pulled me away from her. My father rushed in from the entrance, wrapping his arms around me. I buried my face in his chest. Marcus tried to run. He made it 3 steps before officers tackled him near the exit. They handcuffed him on the ground. My mother fought against the officers as they handcuffed her. She was still screaming. Reed, please. Do not let them do this. I am your mother. I did not look at her. I could not. They led her out to a police car. The entire coffee shop watched in stunned silence. Someone was filming on their phone. At the police station, we learned that Marcus had an outstanding warrant for assault. My mother had met him online and convinced him to help her kidnap me in exchange for money she did not actually have. He admitted everything in exchange for a reduced sentence. My mother was charged with attempted kidnapping, making criminal threats, violation of a court order, conspiracy, and multiple counts of fraud related to Derek and Helen's children. Her bail was set at $500,000. She could not afford it. She was held in county jail pending trial. Catherine moved immediately for permanent full custody. Judge Porter fast-tracked the case. Within 1 week, a final custody hearing was scheduled. The final custody hearing took place on a cold morning in late November. I had been living with my father for almost 3 months. I was doing well in school. I had made friends. I was playing soccer. I was seeing Dr. Patel twice a week. I was healing. My mother appeared via video link from the county jail. She wore an orange jumpsuit. Her hair was unwashed. She looked defeated. She had a public defender now, a tired-looking man who barely spoke. Her previous lawyer had dropped her after the attempted kidnapping. Judge Porter reviewed the evidence methodically. She went through every document, every testimony, every piece of proof. The abandonment at the airport, the false restraining order, the lies about my father, the previous child she had abandoned, the fraud against Derek, the falsified documents about Helen's children, the attempted kidnapping. It took over an hour. When she finished, she looked at the video screen showing my mother. Miss Callahan, do you have anything to say before I make my ruling? My mother tried to speak. She opened her mouth several times, but nothing came out except empty words about being sorry, about being sick, about wanting another chance. Judge Porter cut her off. I have been a family court judge for 30 years. In that time, I have seen many difficult cases. Parents who make mistakes, parents who struggle, parents who fail but still love their children. You are not one of those parents. She paused, letting the words sink in. You did not make a mistake. You made a calculated choice. You deliberately abandoned your 9-year-old son at an airport. You lied to him about his father for years. You filed false police reports and fraudulent restraining orders. You manipulated the legal system. You stole money. You claimed children who were not yours. And when all of that failed, you attempted to kidnap your son with the help of a criminal. My mother started crying on the screen, but Judge Porter continued. You are not a mother. You are a danger to this child and to society. You have demonstrated a consistent pattern of manipulation, fraud, and emotional abuse. You do not love your son. You love control. Judge Porter looked at the papers in front of her. I am granting Mr. Jonathan Callahan full sole legal and physical custody of Reed Callahan. Your parental rights are hereby permanently terminated. You are forbidden from ever contacting Reed again. If you attempt to do so, you will face additional criminal charges. My mother let out a wail. The screen went black as they cut her feed. Judge Porter turned to my father. Mr. Callahan, I apologize for what this system put you and your son through. The restraining order should never have been granted. Your son should never have been kept from you. I hope you both find peace. Thank you, Your Honor. She looked at me. Reed, you are a very brave young man. You did nothing wrong. None of this was your fault. I hope you have a wonderful life with your father. Thank you, ma'am. Court was adjourned. My father and I walked out of the courthouse together, his hand on my shoulder. Catherine and David followed behind, both smiling. We had won. 2 months later, my mother's criminal trial concluded. She pleaded guilty to attempted kidnapping, fraud, child endangerment, and custodial interference in exchange for a reduced sentence. She was sentenced to 6 years in state prison. I did not attend the sentencing. My father shielded me from it. Dr. Patel said it was better for me to focus on moving forward rather than looking back. Life continued. I thrived in my new school. My grades improved. I joined the soccer team and discovered I was actually good at it. I made real friends for the first time. Kids who liked me for who I was. My father was patient and loving. He never pushed me to talk about my mother unless I wanted to. He let me heal at my own pace. He showed up to every soccer game, every school event, every parent-teacher conference. He was there. I met my extended family. My grandparents on my father's side flew in from Oregon. They cried when they met me, saying they had prayed for this day. I met aunts and uncles and cousins I never knew existed. They welcomed me with open arms. Helen was reunited with Trevor and Brittany through the legal process. Derek, horrified by his role in everything, provided testimony and financial support. He apologized to Helen, to the kids, and to my father. He set up trust funds for both Trevor and Brittany. And then I met Ashley, my half-sister. She drove down from Seattle where she lived with her father. She was 16, tall and confident, with kind eyes like mine. We sat together in a park while my father and her dad, Scott, talked nearby. "I am sorry for what she did to you," Ashley said. "It is not your fault. I know. But I understand what it feels like. She did the same things to me. How did you get past it? Therapy, time, and remembering that her actions do not define me." She looked at me seriously. "You did something I could not do when I was your age. You saved yourself. You were brave enough to ask for help. I am proud of you, Reed." We hugged. It felt good to have a sister. 2 years passed. I turned 11. I was happy, healthy, and healing. The nightmares about the airport became less frequent. Dr. Patel said I was making excellent progress. My mother's parole hearing came up. She was denied. The parole board cited her lack of remorse and the severity of her crimes. I was asked to write a victim impact statement for the record. I spent a long time thinking about what to say. Finally, I wrote, "You taught me what a parent should not be. My father taught me what a parent should be. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I hope you find help. I hope you become a better person. But I never want to see you again. You are not my mother anymore. You are just someone I used to know." Reading those words out loud to Dr. Patel, I felt a weight lift from my chest. Now, I am 32 years old. That terrified 9-year-old boy at Denver Airport feels like a different person, someone from another life. But he is still part of me. His fear, his courage, his survival. I went to college, graduated with honors, and built a career I am proud of. I have healthy relationships. I have friends who feel like family. I have learned to trust people again. My father is now in his 60s, retired, and still my hero. We have dinner together every week. We travel together. We talk about everything. The bond we have is unbreakable. He saved me, and I like to think I saved him too. Ashley and I remain close. She is married now with 2 kids of her own. Her children call me Uncle Reed. We get together for holidays. We have built the family we deserved. I volunteer with organizations that help children in foster care and those dealing with parental abandonment. I share my story at conferences and support groups. If my pain can help even one child feel less alone, it was worth it. I learned that being abandoned by a parent is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their brokenness. The people who fight for you, who show up for you, who never stop trying, those are your real family. Blood does not determine love. Actions do. I learned the importance of speaking up, of telling the truth, even when it is terrifying. I learned to trust that there are good people in this world who will help if you ask. The pain never fully disappears. There are still days when I wonder what was wrong with me that made my mother capable of leaving me behind. Dr. Patel reminds me there was nothing wrong with me. There was something broken in her. That 9-year-old boy standing alone in Denver airport thought his life was over. He thought he was worthless. He thought no one would ever want him. But he was wrong. He was strong. He was brave. And he survived. If you are that child right now, in whatever form your abandonment takes, please know this. You are not alone. You are not worthless. You are not the problem. And you will survive. Speak up. Tell someone. Ask for help. There are people who will fight for you. There are people who will love you. You just have to find them. I did. And my life is beautiful now. Not perfect, but beautiful. Filled with real love, real family, and real peace. I stand in my backyard on a sunny afternoon, watching my 5-year-old son play with his grandfather. 3 generations of Callahan men together. My son will never know abandonment. He will never doubt his worth. He will grow up knowing he is loved unconditionally. I broke the cycle. I survived. And so can you. Have you or someone you know experienced parental abandonment or betrayal? How did you find the strength to move forward? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. Your experiences might help someone else who is struggling right now. If this story resonated with you, or if you think it might help someone you know, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with others. Together, we can create a community of support and healing. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope it brought you some comfort, some hope, or some understanding. Remember, you are stronger than you know, and you are never truly alone. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, keep fighting for the life and love you deserve.